Yeah, so I can share some of my experiences. I know a little bit what you're going through, not all what you're going through, but it's crazy because you just don't know the outcome.
It's crazy.
And when he go in and have these this study here this week, they gonna watch his seizures.
Mm-hmm.
But the order for them to do that, they got to take him off all the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
The medicine is keeping him from having the seizures. So he's gonna go in there and have multiple seizures back to back, back to back, because they want to watch him and figure out exactly where they're coming from and how to attack him and how to fix everything. And I really don't want him to do it because of what he already been through. Removing, because he had the second largest case in St. Jude history. Him and another little kid with brain tumors.
Wow.
He had 3 brain tumors on his brain about the size of grapefruits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he's a miracle.
Yeah.
So I know where the pain comes from, and we've been dealing with it for quite some time now because we ain't never had our son back the way we had him before. So we have a different son now. I love him to death.
Yeah, he's just different. It's
But,
not the same.
but what you was talking about earlier, I want to piggyback on is like other people have their son.
Right. And I understand the questioning of why me, God.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask that same question. Why me? But even the message of that from God, him saying, I gave you everything you asked for. Even when you asked me for your son, I gave you a son.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I just didn't tell you when I was going to take him. But I gave you what you asked me for. And I did, and he did. And he's given me everything I've ever asked him for. And that's true. He doesn't tell you, on this day, at this time, in this place, I'm going to take your kid. Mm-hmm. Or at this day, at this time, in this period, in this season of your life, your son going to be gone. No, he doesn't do that. He does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. He is God.
Yeah,
and
sure.
God all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to take the truth of that. And just know, that my child belonged to God first.
Yeah, that's true.
And I gave him back to God in the beginning of his life. So my baby belonged to God first.
Mm-hmm.
And even through walking through the baptism of him, when he got baptized, after he got shot in the back, he got baptized. I felt like I cleaned him up real good, and I put him in the water, and I gave him back to God.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it felt to me, And in that order, that's how it happened.
Kind of remind me of a friend that I used to know, Nate. He was a guy that used to run the streets all the time. I'm not saying your son ran the streets or nothing like that.
He did.
This guy, he ran the streets all the time. Good friend of mine. Nate, he passed now, and he got into a whole bunch of trouble. And he turned his life to God, started going to church. And as soon as he started going to church, he ended up getting killed like a week after. And I guess, that was his preparation to go over there to the... No one knows God's plan.
Nobody knows.
I
felt like I did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I did what God wanted me to do with him. And even a conversation we had days prior about, I told him, I said, well, there are some people that really truly want to get it together, but they have all these excuses. I said, but what if you was really going to accept God and go to church and get your life together, and then a bullet came from out of nowhere and took your life away?
Mm-hmm.
You never had a chance to say, Lord, forgive me for my wrongdoings. Forgive me for this unforgiveness that I have in my heart. Forgive me for my sins. You don't have that chance.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow is not given. I'm sure that my child, when he got in the back seat of that car that night, did not know that a bullet would hit him in the back of his head and it would be the end of his life.
Mm-hmm. No one knows that.
And so, just as fast as he's here, will be just as fast as he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I cherish each moment, and each moment that I breathe, because there was a time that I couldn't breathe. There was no breath. There was no birthdays, no holidays, no nothing without my son. And I felt like my grieving went so long because of the things I had to endure. Even in his passing, the mortuary situation was crazy. You know, and there are things that go on out there that people don't know about. You know, the mortuary place had stolen his body from the coroner's office, and said that I had given them permission to take him, and I had not.
I ain't trying to butt in, but what happened and why? Why would they do that? What was the reason?
I guess they figured that he was some broke kid whose parents probably didn't have enough, and so they took him. But that wasn't the case. We were waiting on our cousins live in Wichita, have a mortuary, and they were kind of going back and forth. So they had already called Dwayne Harvey, and Dwayne Harvey was going to go get him. When Dwayne Harvey and them got there, he wasn't there. And so they just left. They thought that I changed it to somebody else, which I had not done. And because I wasn't making decisions. Nobody was letting me make decisions because of the state of mind that I was in. So you did not talk to me about removing my son. And you know, and it just, I didn't understand. But because of him being moved so much, he sat in that car all those hours after his death, and I just didn't really want to keep moving my baby. I just told him, you know, he gonna stay here. We paid cash for his funeral. There wasn't any payment plan. We didn't do a MyFundMe. We didn't have no fish fries. His dad laid that money out on the desk, and they mutilated my child. When they told me to come back and look at him, he was as dark as the phone screen. His eyelids were torn across his eyes. His hand still had the fingerprint stuff on it from the coroner's office. And I just couldn't understand. But when my cousins got him, and they got him down to Wichita, and they got to breaking down that he hadn't even been refrigerated. His embalming, they didn't do his embalming right, and he had started to deteriorate behind his eyes. And when they tried to fix it, they ripped his eyelids.
So which funeral home?
Lawrence A. Jones.
Lawrence A. Jones.
Lawrence A. Jones.
Yeah.
Lawrence A. Jones took my baby.
I don't heard many stories about that.
Yep. Took my baby. And it wasn't like, you know, you came to me and said, you know, Miss Goodwin, this is what's going on. But you just tried to, oh, he got shot on this side, and you, no, I'm not dumb. Because I saw my baby before y'all worked on him. He still had his skin color. He just looked sleek. But now I come back and his eyelids are torn and his hands look like this. And I laid $5,000 on y'all desk. Well, he said, well, this is my grandparents' business. I said, and when your grandparents died, I bet you didn't throw them out there like you did my baby. I bet you they look like a brand new Cadillac. Like you didn't do with my baby. So I had to grieve not only what I saw at the crime scene, what I saw at the mortuary, then what I saw, the pain in my family's eyes was a lot. And not being able to help them was a lot. A lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because everybody loved Eric. Everybody loved Eric. Everybody loved Eric. And he wasn't just somebody you just throw under the bus. He was a senior in high school, and they denied him of his high school diploma because they said, how do we know he was going to graduate on time? So he was denied that. And even in his death, he was denied that. I've seen kids get an honorary diploma who wasn't even in high school yet. Where is that? And the newspaper tried to depict my son as some type of gangbanger who deserved this type of death. It was written in the paper where the neighbor had said, this child chose to die this way. No, he didn't choose this.
You can't believe they even said anything.
My baby didn't choose this. He didn't choose that. He didn't choose that. A child who wants to graduate from high school don't choose death. A child who wants to work his first job doesn't choose death.
True.
So I just want women to know that I'm here. I'm here and I'm present. And if God can do it for me, He can do it for you.